Becoming unique, a space where you can be well and be you. Sit down, let's chat. I'll pour you some affirmation tea. All you need to do is choose your affirmation blend. This moment is about making time and space for you. I call it self-care. Your guide to bringing more acts of self-care workbook is an amazing tool towards investing in your self-care. You may wonder how, why, when, or even where. Well, Becoming Unique is a place to support you on your self-care and self-love journey, all in the name of taking care of you. Always remember, you hold the key. Yes, you have the power to unlock your destiny. And when you feel down, lost, or like you just can't win, tune into the Becoming Unique podcast for motivation, where every week we drop a gem. And lastly, keep in mind, the secret sauce is you. You have the power to make your wildest dreams come true.
Welcome to the 100th episode of the Becoming Unique podcast. Yes, this is the 100th episode. Oh my goodness, guys, this is so exciting. So for you guys that are visually watching this podcast, I have some golden balloons behind me that says the 100. And the 100 represents the 100th episode. So just to give you guys an update, the Becoming Unique podcast can now be streamed on YouTube, which the link will be in the show notes. And also, if you are listening to this podcast on Spotify, you have the option to see this in the video format as well. So this is a new feature for the Spotify listeners that you can now see podcasters in video form. So if you are listening to this podcast on the podcast streaming app, you may want to consider using Spotify, because then you can also see me visual as well if you don't want to go over to the YouTube channel. So yes, so now that we got that out the way, it is the 100th episode of the Becoming Unique podcast, and I can truly say my heart is so full. It really, really is. And this podcast has been a place that I have been working through from my heart space, because I'm not getting paid to do this. And I'm 100 episodes in. So this is a heart space action. And I feel so grateful that I can show up in this way. And I'm just learning more and more and more that it is so key to really move from that heart space. So yeah, oh my goodness. I don't even, I did not script out my intro. I'm not even sure what to say. So what does 100 episodes of the Becoming Unique podcast even look like? Well, it looks like 8 seasons. It looks like 80 different guests on this platform. So far, I have had 80 different voices to grace their presence on this platform and share so much valuable information for all of us to vibrate higher. I cannot express the gratitude that is just sitting in my heart space for showing up and being here for the Becoming Unique platform, not just for me, but for the collective. Like I said, I'm not getting paid for this. This is a pure act of love right here on the Becoming Unique podcast. And I am just so grateful that I can, share my voice, share the messages that so many of these amazing humans, amazing people out here have to share with us. Oh my goodness. I'm just so grateful. So grateful. I know this episode is not called Grateful, but I should put in the subtitle, Grateful. Okay. I'm not going to chitter-chatter too much about me being grateful, because we have an episode ready for you guys today. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Another amazing episode of the Becoming Unique podcast. So yeah, but before I chime off and we jump into today's episode, I wanted to show you the shirt that I have on. So this shirt right here, you can't see it quite just yet. And so for the people that are watching this visually, you'll get to really, really see the shirt. But there is a question that I ask every single podcast guest at the end of every episode. And if you're a true Becoming Unique podcast listener, you know the question is, what does becoming unique mean to you? And, I was like, I want that on a t-shirt. Because it means something to me. Will I become a millionaire off this t-shirt? No, probably not. But it's a message that serves so much importance to me. And if you're, a fan of this platform and, support it, definitely check out the t-shirt. It's going to be on my website. But this is the first edition of the t-shirt. There are going to be some corrections to it. But it says, what does becoming unique mean to you? And, it's on a chalkboard. So my vision was like, because I feel like when you come to this platform, we're learning a new lesson every week, not just you guys, me. I'm sitting here taking notes with my guests, and I feel like I'm learning a new, I'm being taught by these beautiful teachers that are coming onto this podcast. They may not be a registered teacher, but they are a teacher. We can learn from so many people that we come encounter within our everyday life. People are teaching us stuff all the time. They don't have to have a certificate that says they're a teacher to teach you. So I wanted to represent, a learning environment, which would be a blackboard or a chalkboard, if they even use those anymore. I know it's like all about the smart boards now. And it says, what does becoming unique mean to you? It has a line underneath for your response, the chalk cubes. I'm a fan of stars, so I put stars around. I believe I'm going to remove the stars, but if you guys like the stars, let me know. I'm going to make a couple of little tweaks to it. But, so as you can see in my logo, there's stars. Actually, the sneakers I'm wearing right now has stars on them. I'm just like a fan of stars. So I was like, I need to have gold stars in it. So yeah. So what does becoming unique mean to you? T-shirt, you can go to my website right now. It's on there. And I wanted to bring the introduction into that. So let me not hold you guys up too much longer. Let me get into my 81st guest. So yes, today's guest is number 81. And let's get this show started. Today on the Becoming Unique podcast, I have such a beautiful and amazing guest by the name of Andrea. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I am really excited about this today.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you so much for being here. I'm excited too. Oh my goodness. So, but before we even get started with today's topic, you got to let everybody know, who is Andrea?
Yeah, thanks. So I am a holistic health practitioner. I work with a lot of metabolic disorders. So I work with really a wide range of things from, stubborn weight that people just can't lose, or even being underweight. That can be a metabolic dysfunction as well. But I also work with things like diabetes or digestive issues, kind of the wide range of symptoms. And we really try to get the body working again. We figure out what those underlying imbalances are. And, we just dig in and solve the mysteries so that people can live their best lives. So that's kind of me in a nutshell from a professional standpoint, at least.
Oh, I love that. I love that you said we dig in and solve the mysteries, because, I say so often on this podcast, so many of us are looking for the magic blue pill, and there's not necessarily a magic blue pill. It's like you have to solve, like you said, solve the mystery of you. So, because each and every one of us is an individual out here. So what may work for you may be the opposite for me. So I like that you said that.
Yeah, absolutely. I spent 15 years as a crime scene investigator and forensic investigator. And so I approach solving health problems in the same way. I really approach it like an investigation. We have to figure out what's you, just like every crime scene was totally unique. Who is each client? And so we really need to approach each person uniquely, what they like, what they don't like, what their unique situation is, and solve for that. I don't think there should be a standard of care model. I think everyone should be treated individually.
Yeah, I love that we took a pause to really just put emphasis on that, because, you see so much advertisement out there. Drink this green powder and you're gonna, lose what you need to lose and get on, track of health, or drink this protein shake or drink that. And it's like, I constantly feel like I'm seeing all of this messaging. And but yeah, just to realize it's an individual practice with you. Yeah. So we're definitely gonna start talking about digestion and gut health and whatever. But before we get there has been such a huge focus around self-care on this podcast for me. And for me, a part of my self-care ritual is affirmations. And I wanted to know, do you have an affirmation that you would like to share with us?
I don't have a specific one. I change them up based on what I'm going through. So some of it, if I say I'm getting ready to teach a class online or some, big presentation, one of the big ones that I like to tell myself, especially when, I feel challenged or I'm anxious about something, is, I do hard things and I'll get through this. Just kind of based on what the thing is in the moment, finding that belief statement that really gets you in the energy to do the thing you're either afraid of doing or to get past the thing that you're still stuck on that already occurred. Yeah. I think you just really have to get in that state of mind to get over that hurdle. And whatever that statement is for you in the moment, I think that's the thing you should say to yourself.
Beautiful. I love that you said your belief statement. That was nice. Like, I've never had anyone say that, nor have I said that, my belief statement of this moment. And, reminding yourself, like, when you feel like there's a challenge ahead of you, like, I do hard things, because it's so easy to do the opposite. Like, I can't do this. Like, no, I do hard things. Just like you can say, I can't do this, you can say, I do hard things. So I absolutely, absolutely love that. So now let's get into today's topic. But I first want to start off with, you are a holistic coach, a holistic digestion. Am I saying it correctly? Say your title for me.
Yeah, holistic practitioner, holistic health practitioner.
So someone may question, what does it mean to be a holistic practitioner? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. So what that really means is we're addressing a lot of different things. So a lot of what I do is nutrition, but we also talk about exercise and sleep and stress management and your mindset and belief statements and all of these things that contribute to your overall wellness. We can't just eat more broccoli and expect to feel amazing. Exactly. Just like we can't just go to the gym and expect to feel amazing. If we're not sleeping, if we're not managing our stress, if we've got toxins in our environment, those kinds of things all contribute. And so the holistic approach really looks at your whole life. It looks at all of those aspects, from your mindset to your habits, to your choices and behaviors, all of the things that you're doing all day, every day that are contributing to either wellness or illness.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that you brought clarity to that by saying it's basically a whole practice. Like, it's not just going to the doctor and saying, what are my numbers with my blood work? It's taking it deeper. It's asking the deeper questions around your health. So we can kind of make the unique, one-of-a-kind plan for you once we understand what's going on. So thank you for bringing clarity to that. And so also, if someone goes to the doctor and then it's like the doctor's not asking about the outside elements outside of their blood work or whatever, the test they had took, maybe you want to question, like, do I want to go a different route with this? Do I want them to dig deeper? Because there may be practices that I am so conditioned to do that I'm unaware that it could be a detriment to my health. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yay. So now we're going to talk about digestion today. So what is digestion?
Digestion is a complex process, and it's really all of the nutrients and substances that come into our body. We have to be able to handle that. We think of digestion merely as, processing our food that we've consumed, but really it also involves eliminating toxins, breaking down even hormones and things that our body's producing. We have to be able to break those down and get rid of them when we're done with them. We have to deal with toxins. We have to deal with all these things. So digestion, detox, gut health, these are all kind of related topics that basically address all of the nutrients coming in, the toxins coming in. What are we doing with them? How are we, using the valuable nutrients? How are we eliminating the bad things? Just all of those metabolic processes that are occurring in the gut. And really then those things feed into all of the other systems of the body. So to make hormones, we need specific nutrients. So we need to be able to take those in our food, but we have to be able to properly break down that food to get those specific nutrients out of the food. In order to do that, we need, the organs all need to be working properly, the muscle contractions, and we need all the chemical secretions to occur properly for stomach acid and digestive enzymes. And we need the bacteria to help us break down things that we can't break down. So, it's a really complex process, but really it's all about getting great nutrients into the body and getting rid of all of the waste products.
Yeah. Definitely sounds like digestion is it's a complex system. It's not one straight line. I eat and I poop. I eat and I poop.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's waves, curves, and circles all around that, because with eating, the purpose of eating, you want to take in you want to take in the nutrients from that food, and then you want to release what you don't need from it as well. So we want to make sure our system is in line to understand, I'm taking that vitamin X, Y, and Z into my system, and I'm eliminating that stuff I don't want out my system, but that doesn't necessarily happen all the time. So as you said at the very beginning, people may suffer from, so many different conditions because the digestion is just not going in the complex system, working through that complex system as it should be. And then we start feeling all types of things. So how do we know our digestive system is in trouble? Because someone may say, I poop, I eat and I poop. What do you mean? Like, how do I know it's in trouble?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways. And really, like, the simplest thing is, if you have any kind of health challenge, it's digestion related, or at least digestion is a portion of it. So even if you feel like, I don't have any digestive symptoms, I don't have indigestion, I don't have diarrhea or constipation or bloating or gas or pain or heartburn, even if you're thinking, I don't have any of those problems, my gut's fine. If you have chronic pain, stubborn weight, brain fog or inability to concentrate, if you have diabetes, if you have, any hypertension or other heart disease markers, if you have high cholesterol, these are all things that have an element in the gut. So really, if you have any health challenge of any kind, skin issues, pains of any kind, anything, there's a gut component, which is why we always start with the gut.
Yeah.
It doesn't always manifest in the way that you would think with digestive symptoms, but it can show up in a whole variety of ways. If you're not properly assimilating those nutrients, then you might end up with hormone imbalances. You might end up with, crystallized products in your joints. You might end up with calcified arteries. And so it really does start with the gut. And a lot of times when we repair the gut, all of those other things just go away, and we don't actually have to address those other things at all. Sometimes we do. It just depends on the totality of the picture. But a lot of times just fixing the gut is all it takes.
Yeah, it's like I hear that the gut is like our first or second brain, depending on who you speak to.
Yeah.
So the gut health is just so important. It's so important. It's like a foundation within all of this, like this masterpiece of a body that we have. So it sounds like, we do need to make sure when we put a piece of food in our mouth, we're putting it with intention and understanding on how will this, affect our body. So now I want to, we understand that there's a whole list. The list, I feel like, it's endless of things that can happen when our gut is just not within sync, within rhythm, within ourselves. So I would love to know, like, what steps do we need to even start to do to start to fix the digestion? We're dealing with that stubborn weight. Like, we may not, like you said, we may not have the indigestion, diarrhea, but the weight is stubborn. I feel like that's a common thing because everyone's always looking for that quick fix. Let me just, go on this quick, fast or diet or take this pill, So what steps can we start to take towards helping our digestive system?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, obviously nutrient quality makes a big difference. If you're eating junk, you're not going to get a whole lot out of it. So that's the first step, really prioritizing good quality foods. But along with that, we also need really good eating habits. So we need to slow down. We need to eat in an undistracted fashion, sitting at a table, like a proper meal. We need to stop grazing and snacking all day long. We need to focus on the food that we're eating.
Yeah.
There's all of these kinds of habits that make a big difference in how well your digestive system works. We have two sides of our nervous system. We have the sympathetic nervous system, which is kind of that fight or flight or, flee kind of scenario. And then we have the parasympathetic, which is really rest and digest and the calming. If we're on the go, if we're eating in the car, if we're eating during meetings, if we're shoveling food into our mouth that we're not even paying attention to, you're in sympathetic. You're not in rest and digest. So your digestive system literally just won't work that well. And so you won't be able to properly break it down, get the great nutrients out of it, properly eliminate the waste. And you'll either end up with a really stressed out stomach that might lead to bloating and constipation and diarrhea, or you'll just not pull out the great nutrients. And when you do finally eliminate that food through your stool, it may have undigested food in it because you probably didn't chew it properly and your whole system wasn't set up to properly digest. So I think those are the two big ones, food quality and then eating habits. Within that, or the next layer, really, it depends on what's going on with you. If you do have digestive issues, or if you've got other chronic illness issues, we really need to know what that is, because the symptoms, if you have, say, joint pain, that can come from a variety of problems. And so rather than just sort of guessing at the problem, I'm a big fan of actually testing so that we know, are we treating a yeast overgrowth? Are we treating a parasite? Are you lacking in bacteria? How is your digestive health, your intestinal health actually doing? Do you have inflammation? So I'm a big fan of testing once we've kind of gotten to that first layer. If you're already eating a quality diet and you're still struggling and you're paying attention to your eating habits, then I would say, let's go to the next round and let's really do testing so that we can be specific in our targeted approach. We can really go after your unique imbalances.
Yeah. So what type of tests do you do?
Yeah, I use a couple different things. I love doing a really comprehensive blood panel, far more comprehensive than your doctor would order, so that we can really get a baseline for all of your body's systems, cardiovascular, blood sugar handling, liver, kidney, all the things. So I love doing that. And then specifically for digestion, I really like using a stool test where we're actually looking at your specific microbial profile. What good bacteria do you have? Do you have enough of them? Are they in good diversity? Do you have any bad guys hanging around that we don't really want, especially not in high levels? Do you have any parasites or yeast overgrowth? We really look at all the microbial profile. And then it also includes some intestinal health markers. So we're looking at intestinal inflammation and your gut immune system. Are you fighting something, in your system, or are you totally wiped out because you've been fighting an imbalance for a long time? So we really look at, how well you're digesting your fats, how well you're digesting proteins, all of these kinds of things so that we can be strategic in what we're targeting. Are we eradicating bad guys, or are we just building up the intestinal lining and the good populations? So I really enjoy using that stool test. And then, sometimes we'll take it to the next level and we'll look at food sensitivities, or we'll look at hormones or those kinds of things. It depends again on the client, but I like to start with the really comprehensive blood panel and the stool test so that we have that good baseline for those two systems.
Beautiful, beautiful. You gave us so much quality information just now. I love that you said first, let's just start with the basics. Let's just make sure we're slowing down with our eating. We're eating good quality food, giving the reminder, if you eat junk, it's going to be junk in you typeness. You didn't say that, but just being mindful of having that good quality food, because someone may think I eat my 3 meals a day, but they don't realize they drove through Chick-fil-A and, Yep. Not that I'm not shaming any fast food place, but they're eating fast food, or they're eating just maybe one salad every 3 days, and that salad, you think the salad is trumping all of those other meals that's happening. So just bringing awareness to that, because I feel like in this culture we really forget, we really forget what some of us could forget what really good quality food is, or and so on. So just just bringing the mindfulness there, key, and then also realizing eating habits. Do you need to have a consistent eating habit, not eating, on the go, or, one day you skip breakfast, the next day you eat breakfast, and then your body is just all over the place and you just can't figure out what's the rhythm here. So, bringing reminder to that, stop snacking. I'm guilty of that. I'm a snacker, but just bringing awareness, like giving, when you're snacking, your system is just constantly moving and working. But, when you stop snacking, you're giving your system time to do what it needs to do with resting and digesting what's already there. So, yeah, and focus. And so many great qualities, but like you said, once you figure out if those things are in line and you're still suffering for whatever symptoms, taking it to the next level, investing yourself with seeing, a holistic practitioner and so on, and realizing that there are outside steps to do outside of just going for a yearly physical and you're still suffering from whatever you're suffering from. So, yeah, I'd like to do my recaps.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so thank you for all of that, amazing information. Well, for my journey, I have started to look at different versions of holistic ways of doing things as well too. And one of the things I've looked at was the Ayurvedic doshas, and that may be very new to some people to hear and so on, but I have found, I'm still very new with trying to understand that, but I have found out with the, going back to the beginning conversation, with the Ayurvedic doshas, there's like 3 different doshas. So it's different body types. It's like, cold, and there's hot, and there's kind of like the medium. And I realized I'm like a cold and dry body type. So I need warming things in me. So, where my husband is like a hot body type and he needs cooling things. So it's like, even though we're in the same household, we kind of need different things, that again, the uniqueness to our own system. So also just being mindful of that. So what are your thoughts with, the Ayurvedic doshas and digestion, even though I know you're not an Ayurvedic practitioner?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of overlap between Ayurveda and lots of other modalities. And I think consistently across them all, that speaks to bio-individuality, that we all have different needs, different things that our body utilizes, things that they don't utilize very well, things that we really need to load up on, all of that. I think it's the same kind of principle. It's just got different titles on it. But Ayurveda has been around for thousands of years. So clearly they know what they're doing with these practices. So I absolutely think that there are tremendous differences from person to person. We need different things. And even probably throughout our lives, that's going to change. When you're 20, you need completely different things than when you're in your 70s.
Yeah.
Your lifestyle's different. Your environment's different, all the things. So I think there's tremendous value in really getting in touch with what your body really needs. And, whatever title you want to put on that, whatever practice you want to use to get into that state, I think is amazing. Just having that awareness is really the key.
Yeah. So I love to bring things up into conversation. So, those that are interested can dig deeper into it, and then, see what kind of works for you and so on. But yeah, oh my goodness, this conversation has been so amazing, with understanding more about digestion, or just bringing really awareness around it. Would you have any advice for someone around digestion? Because that's been the topic of today, that you would like to share that we may not have discussed.
I would just say that if you are dealing with a health challenge of any kind, a lot of us are in the routine of, let me go see my doctor. And I just want you to kind of take a minute to think about the experiences you've had with your doctors. Our doctors are amazing. They really are. And especially when it comes to acute care, you break your arm, you get in an accident, you have, some urgent need in the moment, that we have the best medical system ever. But when it comes to these more chronic issues, maybe it doesn't rise to the level of a diagnosis. Maybe you don't officially have, say, an autoimmune condition like MS, or you don't officially have heart disease, but you still don't feel your best. Unfortunately, the way our system is set up, conventional medicine is really all about diagnosis and treatment. And so if you don't rise to that level, they can't really help you a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because our model, that's what our whole model, especially under insurance, is set up for. We can only run tests that'll give us diagnostic codes. We can only prescribe medications or procedures. And there's kind of this whole other side of health that's missing. And so I think that's where Ayurvedic practices or holistic health practices or some of these considered alternative practices are really helpful, because we're digging much deeper. We're not looking for diagnoses. We're not looking for prescriptions. We're really looking to get the body back into optimal, to ideal, to where you can feel your best. So it doesn't really matter to us if you have been diagnosed with something or if you don't rise to the level of the full diagnosis. Either way, we're looking for imbalances and we'll try to bring it back. So I would just encourage you to really lean into these practices yourself. Read your books, listen to your podcasts, do your own research, find a practitioner that resonates with you, that can help you solve your particular issue, whether that's directly a digestive issue or some other chronic health issue. Just know that your conventional medicine doctor has a tremendous place, but they may not know all of these kinds of practices, and they might not be the best ones to advise you. Most of them have never had any nutrition training. What little they do know, they know from the government guidelines. And I think we can see statistically how little the government guidelines are really helping people. The government guidelines are not therapeutic diets. They're not meant to reverse disease. They're not even really meant to prevent disease. And so I would really encourage you to be your own advocate, do your own research, find practitioners that will help you solve your problem.
Yeah, I love that at the end, be your own advocate. Yeah, you really, truly do. Because like I said, with the Ayurvedic, you can go to a website and they say the American diet or whatever, standard diet. This is what you should have: your eggs, your milk, your this, your that, and all that. All that type of stuff. And then, like I said, me and my husband are complete opposites within our bodies. And I just feel like we need different. And then for me, like dairy, I don't do dairy because I feel like once I do, I instantly have mucus.
Yeah.
So for me, because it doesn't work. And then just being, aware of that, that shouldn't be normal for me to instantly feel like I have phlegm and stuff going on if I take dairy in. So I know I'm not doing dairy, I'm not going to do dairy. And just having, being your own advocate and understanding that I don't care if it says you need to drink milk and eat eggs, on the somebody's website. That's definitely, not the way to go for you. Maybe someone else, but not for you.
Yep, absolutely.
Or not for me. Oh my goodness. I love that we was really able to compact all of this amazing information and like quick timing today. My podcast a lot of times kind of like usually goes a little bit longer, but I'm sure my audience will be, surprised and happy that we really was able to compact just such valuable information in a 30-minute time frame. But before I let you go today, I would love for you to let everyone know, what does becoming unique mean to you?
I think it's a lot of what we've been talking about here, that you are an individual and you should implement the right things for you. You are unique, and therefore all of your approaches should be too. So don't do things that you're miserable doing.
Yeah.
Don't do things that you don't feel good doing just because someone else told you that you should, or some government guideline told you that you should, or some practitioner told you that you should.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work for you. Be willing to stand up for you.
I love that. I love that. I love it all. Oh my goodness. You have been nothing but amazingness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for showing up to the Becoming Unique podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.